Welcome to my very first Stranger Things Season 4 episode review videos. This, of course, is the Season 4 premiere. Before I get into that, though, pretty important, if you aren't caught up to the point where I am rewatching or watching Stranger Things, or you're just not entirely sure, then you definitely need to take the initiative and pay attention to the episode's title, which, of course, I'll mention, as well as put in the description. If that happens to be the case, if you're not caught up, it would be my recommendation that you don't watch this detailed review any further to avoid any potential spoilers. And full disclosure, thus far I've watched every single episode that's aired of Stranger Things. Looking forward to the 5th and final season of Stranger Things, whenever that decides to come out, which I'm hearing late October or sometime in November. And I'm sure there'll be a pause or two during that time period to make people that typically don't stay on Netflix to pay for Netflix as much as possible. But Stranger Things is definitely one of my favorite shows of all time. It's at least in my top 20, but it's very possible that it's in the top 10. Doing this rewatch and letting it resonate more will help me determine where it ranks for my next favorite TV shows of all time ranking. But with all that said, this will be Stranger Things Season 4, Chapter 1, or Season 4, Episode 1, the Season 4 premiere. The title of this episode is called The Hellfire Club, and this will be my review reaction recap after just finishing watching the episode. We start with Brenner gets up and goes through a morning routine before preparing for work at Hawkins' laboratory. And then at the lab, he entered the Rainbow Room where a number of children were playing. He was approached by 10, who was playing with a magic 8-ball, and asked if 10 was ready for more lessons. 10 shook the ball and showed Brenner all signs point to yes. In the hallway, they passed a woman, it's Dr. Ellis, among the other test subjects named 6. Brenner and 10 began their experiments. Brenner had 10 use his abilities to see what Brenner was drawing on his pad. Brenner then asked if they could do something more challenging by seeing what Dr. Ellis and 6 were doing in the other room. 10 sees Dr. Ellis and 6 doing an experiment, but he suddenly begins to hyperventilate and says that something was wrong all of a sudden the lab's alarm goes off. Brenner uses the intercom to ask what was happening. 10 tells him that 6 and Dr. Ellis were now dead. Brenner slowly heads to the door of the 10's room as he hears screams and impacts outside the door. The door busts off its hinges and hit Brenner, knocking him unconscious. When Brenner awakens, he's horrified and upset to find 10 dead. As Brenner limps outside, he sees test subjects, security guards, and fellow doctors dead and bloodied. And then back in the Rainbow Room, he finds many more dead children. One child is standing in front of the broken mirror, breathing heavily. Brenner angrily asks the test subject what they had done. The child turns around slowly to face Brenner. It's a young 11 whose eyes, nose, and ears are dripping with blood. And then we go 5 months after the Byers' departure from Hawkins. The family and 11, who now goes by Jane, publicly reside in the small town of Lenora Hills, California. 11 writes to her boyfriend, Mike, about how she and her newly found family are adjusting to life on the West Coast. Elle has been assigned a school project to make a diagram of a hero, choosing her late father, Jim. We never saw a body, by the way, of Jim, and recreating the cabin they used to live together in. Joyce now works from home as a telemarketer, selling encyclopedias. Joyce claims to love the freedom, but she is secretly frustrated by how her customers constantly hang up on her. Will has been painting a lot, particularly on a secret piece he won't show anyone. Elle hypothesizes that it is possible for a girl that he likes since he has been acting weird. Jonathan has also been acting odd, beginning to smoke smelly plants at the moment, of course, alongside his new best friend, Argyle, since he's been stressed waiting for his college acceptance letter for Emerson College in Boston, Massachusetts, where Nancy has been accepted to. Since Jonathan's car has broken down, the Byers trio carpools to school in Argyle's van, Surfer Boy pizza delivery van. Elle continues to say that she's doing great in school, making plenty of friends, and doing well in her classes. This proves to be false, as she is a victim of bullying from Angela. Just checking the time here. Okay. A popular mean girl and her boyfriend Jake. Elle concludes her letter by saying she cannot wait to see Mike for their spring break, ending her letter with "Love, Elle." And then back in Hawkins, most of the crew has began preoccupied with events at Hawkins High. Mike, Dustin, Lucas, and Max are now freshmen. Mike, Dustin, and Lucas had joined the school's D&D club, the Hellfire Club, which is often under scrutiny due to the rising satanic panic across America. Though Mike and Dustin are endlessly devoted to the club, Lucas has become preoccupied with the school's basketball team. Dustin continues to date Susie, who uses her hacking skills to change his poor grades in Latin, though her computer, despite it going against her religious beliefs. Steve Harrington carpools with Robin to school for the basketball pep rally, discussing their lack of love life. Steve complains of his struggles to find the right girl for him, since most of them don't go past anything sexual. Robin, meanwhile, has become infatuated with a fellow bandmate of hers, Vicky, but is afraid that professing said feelings will result in her being ostracized. Steve tells her that she should take her own advice on being confident, since it's working great for him, while also telling her that Vicky definitely likes boobies. So do I. Max is told by the new guidance counselor, Mrs. Kelly, to see her after the pep rally. As Dustin, Mike, and Max sit together, they watch Lucas trots in alongside the basketball team and their captain, popular jock Jason Carver. Jason gives a eulogy speech for the lives that were lost during the Starcourt Mall's fire, including Heather Holloway, Jim Hopper, and Billy Hargrove. He uses it as a momentum to inspire his players to win the championship basketball game, which will take place that night. Surprised to hear the game will take place that night, Mike and Dustin attempt to persuade Lucas to join Eddie's campaign, which takes place at the same time. However, Lucas insists that he can't miss the championship game and asks them to tell Eddie to move the campaign to the next night and come to his basketball game instead. Although annoyed with their friend, Mike and Dustin reluctantly agree. Joyce receives a package from Russia and opens it to discover that it contains a doll. Fearing that the KGB might be targeting her for closing the gate, Joyce contacts Murray and asks for help. Inspecting the doll closer, Joyce finds cracks that have been seemingly glued shut. Murray fears that it may contain a bomb and tells Joyce to smash the doll using rope and a heavy object as safety precaution. Having successfully smashing the doll outside, Joyce becomes shocked and ecstatic to find a note stating that Hopper is alive. Well, we didn't see him die. He just vanished. At L11's high school, she's called to present her presentation with her visual aid, with Will attempting to be her supporter. A girl next to Will attempts to play footsie with him, but he uncomfortably recoils. Doesn't want anything to do with that. Elle's presentation is mocked by Jake and the class, while Angela raises her hand and purposely critiques that the project was about someone historical and that her father being in the local paper didn't count. 11, fighting back tears, said that her father died saving people in a mall fire and was a hero to her, causing the class to become uncomfortable, and Angela to save face, apologize, and say that she just wanted clarification for the assignment's rules. After class, Elle leaves in tears as Will fails to comfort her. And then at a woodshop class, Angela attempts to cheer up a mopey Jonathan, or not Angela, I'm sorry, Argyle attempts to cheer up a mopey Jonathan since Nancy is unavailable to visit him during their spring break due to her working for the school's newspaper. Nancy is presented by her confidant Fred Benson on why Jonathan isn't visiting, since he has to take care of his family while also waiting for his acceptance letter. Argyle pokes fun in holes in Jonathan's points, since getting accepted would put him in a huge financial debt and is also not what he wants, while Fred pokes holes in Nancy's points since Jonathan isn't very communicative with her. Jonathan and Nancy defend each other, saying that their relationship is perfect and they love each other. Elle walks across campus but is tripped by Angela, making her drop her diorama. Will, walking outside, watches in shock as the bullies purposely taunt Elle as they step on her diorama. Elle, in rage, calls out to Angela and screams at her as she attempts to use her powers, but it fails. Angela and the bullies laugh at how ridiculous Elle looks as the crowd that circled around her join in. Mrs. Gracie, Elle's teacher, stops everything and asks Elle if someone ruined her project. Elle lies and says that she tripped, but an annoyed Mrs. Gracie sees Angela and her cronies avoiding eye contact. The teacher then takes Angela to the principal's office, causing Angela to lie and ask Elle to say she wasn't responsible, but Elle is too upset to speak. As the crowd dissolves, Will rushes in and tells Elle they can fix the project, but Elle only sits in tears as she picks up the figure of Hopper that has been broken in half. On her way to Hawkins' school counselor's office, Mac notices Christy Cunningham leaving the room, seemingly distressed. In her office, Max has been revealed to be suffering from low grades as a result of changes in her life, both familial, her family life, and mentally. Her stepdad has left her and Max's mother following Billy's death, leaving them with little money. As a result, Susan and Max have moved into the Forest Hills trailer park, where Susan has picked up 2 jobs and has begin to drink heavily. Max, meanwhile, has been suffering from headaches and nightmares, featuring Billy's gruesome death. Max, however, refuses to open up to Mrs. Kelly about her trauma, saying that she's getting better. Lucas catches Max in the hallway afterwards and attempts to help her open up by inviting her to his basketball game. Max states that just because she broke up with him doesn't mean everything's wrong. He comments on how she doesn't even seem to be present anymore, stating she acts like a ghost. Hurt, Max rejects his offer and coldly tells Lucas that people just change. She enters the girls' restroom and notices a seemingly sick Chrissy in one of the stalls. She offers to help, but Chrissy refuses aid. After Max leaves her alone in the restroom, Chrissy sees a horrific hallucination involving her mother screaming and trying to enter this toilet stall. As she watches monstrous feet appear under the stall's door, suddenly the hallucination ends and Chrissy runs out of the restroom. Mike and Dustin inform Eddie of Lucas's inability to play Dungeons & Dragons that night. They try to postpone the game, but Eddie insists that the game will be played and tells Mike and Dustin to find a substitute. The pair scouts the high school for a substitute but fail to find one. Dustin realizes that they do not have a restrict their search to high school and instead go to Erica at Hawkins Middle School, who agrees to play. Meanwhile, Chrissy walks across the school football field and into the woods behind the school. While walking, Christy sees a grandfather clock seemingly appear within a tree trunk and is horrified when black widow spiders pour from the face of the clock. The Venetian vanishes. However, when Eddie arrives, Christy meets with the young drug dealer, and their conversation turns into their history in middle school. Eddie offers to sell Chrissy marijuana, but Chrissy asks for something stronger. At the championship game, Lucas takes notice of Max's absence and is disappointed by the outcome, with Hawkins Tigers gaining score steadily against their opponent. During the game, the team's opponent intentionally injures one of their players, which causes a benched Lucas to replace his position. Fearing that they will lose the victory, Jason becomes determined to score them a point, but misses the hoop. However, Lucas takes the ball and scores the winning shot during a buzzer beater, securing their team the win. Mike, Dustin, and Erica arrive for the campaign, with Eddie expressing skepticism regarding Erica's ability to play Dungeons & Dragons, but is swayed over by her skills and charm and welcomes her to Hellfire. In the middle of the campaign, the group faces off against Vecna, who is thought to have died from Cass's killing attempt. They are met with difficulties over the choice of either restraining or standing their ground and fighting. The group ultimately decide on the latter. Dustin and Erica are the only 2 players left, with the group considering retreating option once more, but the 2 players are determined to kill Vecna. Dustin attempts to attack and misses the shot, but Erica successfully vanished the boss with a critical hit. Both teams relish the joy of winning their respective games, but Lucas takes notice of his sister Erica celebrating their victory with the other members of the Hellfire Club and is saddened at this fact. Max is in her trailer with her mother, who is asleep and apparently drunk. Max hears the dog barking for food, gathers the leftovers, and goes to his pen to feed him. She sees Eddie and Chrissy going into Eddie's trailer. In the Munson trailer, Eddie searches for a drug known as Special K to sell to Chrissy. While Chrissy is waiting, she hears the disordered chimes of the grandfather clock and goes to look for Eddie. Chrissy opens a door and sees her mother's distorted image. Chrissy appears to be reliving her traumatic memories and to be in her own home and not Eddie's trailer. She sees her father with eyes and a mouth sewn shut. Back in the trailer park, Eddie finds the drug, but is surprised to find Chrissy standing motionless and unresponsive in a trance-like state. The lights start flickering as a panicked Eddie attempts to wake Chrissy up. In her trance, Chrissy is being chased by an unknown entity who beckons for her. She is cornered by the entity. Eddie falls to the ground and is left to watch in horror as Chrissy's body begins to levitate before slamming up against the ceiling. As her joints bend in horrific angles, her jaw cracks sideways and her eyes gouge out. There is a close-up shot of Eddie screaming as the episode ends, and that's the end of the premiere of Stranger Things Season 4. So pretty good episode. 8.2 out of 10 is what I'm going to score it. Characters of the episode: Lucas for his basketball game and being concerned about his friends and not going. Dustin, Eddie, and Chrissy, she did good in her appearance on the show. So, but Eddie, awesome character. So you've heard everything that I have to say. Now it's your turn. If you're a fan of Stranger Things and want to help me out with the YouTube algorithm, please make sure that you Hulk smash the like button, share the video with a friend, put this video on any one of your social media platforms. Don't forget to sound off in the comment section about what your thoughts are regarding this episode of Stranger Things. What would you rate it? Who would you choose as characters of the episode? Remember to come back for the final season of Stranger Things. I'll be doing review videos of that whenever they happen. And then last but certainly not least, don't forget to hit that sub button. You're watching the video anyway. Subscribe to the channel. Help me get over 100,000 subscribers. Yes, I know I set my goals high. Join the team, show your damn support, and be a part of something special. And you never know what you're going to see on JDevTV.